Hi, welcome to Stat Stuff. I'm Matt Hansen. In this lesson, we'll review the lean concept about system flow methods, such as batch processing versus one-piece flow, push versus pull systems, and just-in-time inventory. There are no prerequisites for this lesson, so we could begin by comparing batch processing with one-piece flow.
So what is batch processing and what is one-piece flow? Well, each of those terms describe the quantity of product that's flowing through the system itself. So for batch processing, that occurs when there's a large quantity or group of products that are moving in unison through a system. Whereas the one-piece flow describes a process where there's just one product or one thing moving individually through the system, one at a time, rather than grouped together and bundled as a batch. And the one-piece flow is a more ideal process in the sense that it helps avoid the downstream waste that usually occurs like from waiting, overproduction, or excess inventory. But at the same time, one-piece flow is only effective when the system or the equipment or operators can sustain the flow that's set for it. Let me walk you through a more practical example. If you recall from the I Love Lucy episode where Lucy and Ethel were working in the candy factory and their job was to wrap the different candies that came down the assembly line. Well, that was basically like a one-piece flow. But here's the risk. When the system isn't balanced with the equipment, or in this case the operators, Lucy and Ethel, to maintain that same kind of flow, then it could end up causing more waste. So you have to make sure that if you're going to use one-piece flow, which again is generally going to be more ideal, it should be at least balanced with all the other constraints within the system. Now that's one particular system method, and let's look at another, which is the push versus pull system method. Now from the customer or receiver's perspective, it's describing how you get that item from upstream. So in the push system, it's basically saying that the upstream process is pushing the items downstream to you, and regardless of whether you're demanding that particular push down to you. Whereas in the pull system, it's the downstream flow, if that's where you are, where you're pulling those items from upstream as you need it. Now, again, just like with the other example, it's not always going to be perfect for pull system, but it is generally going to be more ideal where that's more efficient, simply because it helps eliminate overproduction that's occurring upstream and excess inventory that might occur downstream from you. Now, another concept to talk about is just-in-time or just-in-time inventory. Now, this is basically an inventory management method that helps support a pull type of system by filling the downstream demand of products just when it's needed. So this is basically going to complement the pull system, and in that way, again, it's going to help minimize the waste that typically occurs like excess inventory or overproduction.
All right, before we close this lesson, let's discuss how we can apply some of these concepts in a practical way.
Well, first of all, I want to ask, what are some examples of batch processing that you might typically work with on your job? And how could that batch processing be improved if it instead were operated as a one-piece flow system? Next, I want to ask, what are some examples of push systems that you might be working with? Again, push systems referring to things that are pushed down to you without necessarily at your demand. Now, how could those push systems be improved if they were to be converted instead to a pull system where it is at your demand? And in what ways could a just-in-time inventory system help improve the flow of those types of systems?
Well, that wraps up this lesson. Check out statstuff.com for many more resources that can help you achieve powerful results. I'm Matt Hansen. Thanks for watching.